If you're watching this video, you're probably considering moving to Maryland or you live in Maryland and you want to know what's going on in the market here. And a lot has changed in recent months. So I'm going to give you the quick rundown in just a few minutes of what's going on in the Maryland real estate market. So let's just jump right in. All right, so when I talk about the Maryland housing market, I'm going to be talking about regions of the Maryland housing market. And the two largest regions in Maryland are the Washington, D.C. region and the Baltimore region. And because both of those are so similar and they're trending almost exactly the same on the charts, I'm just going to use one of them. I'm going to go with the Washington, D.C. metro area to go over what's happening in Maryland. All right, so this is Redfin's weekly housing market data. And the first thing I have pulled up here is the median sales price in the region. And there are 3 years on here. We have 2021, 2022, and 2023, which is in blue. And I just want to point out a couple of things here. So first is that there are seasonal trends in the real estate market. And you can clearly see that on these charts. You can see that in 2023, we're following very closely to the seasonal trends of 2022. And not only that, we were flip-flopping between being up year over year and down year over year in the median sales price. But ever since the end of May, we have broken from that trend and we have been up year over year in median sales price ever since. And right now, we just have this big question mark looming overhead. What's going to happen with the Fed and interest rates? And are we going to see the seasonal trend continue, just like 2022, and we see a bump going into mid-fall? Or are interest rates going to increase and we see a drop in values? And that's something that we're going to be watching very closely. And the next really important thing to look at here is the active listings in the region. And this is really important because this is the support for prices, or home values. So in the beginning of the year, we were trending seasonally pretty much just fine. And then just about mid-March, we broke from that seasonal trend. And ever since, we have had very low active listings in the region. And currently, the last data point we have is that we're down 23.06% year over year in active listings. And what this does is keep those home values inflated. And there's really no sign of relief in this area. There's no catalyst that is going to make people want to list their homes unless interest rates fall. Yes, there can be foreclosures or maybe a black swan incident, but the foreclosures aren't really spiking that much. We don't anticipate them to. And the reason is that homeowners have the most equity that they've ever had in their homes in the US right now. So if someone does get into financial trouble, they're most likely going to sell and use that equity to move somewhere else or move in with family, but they will most likely avoid foreclosure. And if you're watching, you're probably wondering, well, how long can this continue? How long can home prices continue to rise? They have to crash at some point, right? Well, I think it's important to look at historical charts of more than just the last year or two. I think we should look at this 10-year chart so you can see what the trends have been over the last decade. What we're looking at here is the past 10 years of median sales prices in major metropolitan regions across the United States, as well as the national chart. And what you can see if we single out the DC metro area here is we're pretty much in the middle of as far as appreciation goes and median sales price, but pretty much every major metropolitan area has these seasonal trends that you can clearly see on the charts. And what I mean by this is you see this spike in spring and then it drops down in summer, and then in fall you have a little baby spike here and then it drops back down. And this happens most years. And where you don't really see this is in 2019 going into 2021. You see a little bit of it, but COVID made things a little confusing, so you don't see the seasonal trends that you normally would, but just look how pronounced they are for 2021 and 2022. Now, what's interesting here is that we're seeing a slight break from that trend in 2023. We have not dropped down as much as we normally would, and that's all due to that active listing inventory that we just talked about. There is not enough inventory. It's been going down consistently year over year. And because we don't have those active listings, it's keeping those prices inflated. And we're not seeing that seasonal trend like we expected to. And another thing that's contributing to keeping these prices inflated is that new construction builders are throttling back on their construction. They have the ability to make fewer homes or build fewer homes and put them on the market. And because of that, they can keep prices inflated. And the last thing they want is to build a bunch of homes, assuming buyer demand is going to remain the same, and then they have to sell them for a loss to get them off their books. It's just not going to happen. They're still a little scarred from the last housing market crash. And ever since then, we have not seen these new home builds builders keep a lot of inventory or spec homes on the market. And I think we're going to continue to see that. I think they're part of the reason that the home values are staying inflated, and they have control over that. They can do that with that as they please. So I think that's going to continue into 2024 as a trend. I don't think you're going to see a bunch of communities and spec homes being built with the anticipation that they'll definitely sell. So with interest rates where they are, at the time of this video, we're in the high 7s. We could go into the 8s. What's happening with buyers out there? What am I seeing in the Maryland market specifically, or the DC metro region specifically, that's impacting buyers? Well, first, inspections are fully back. I'm seeing buyers being able to ask for full inspections, and I mean home inspection, radon inspection, well and septic inspections, chimney inspections, all of that is back. During the pandemic, if you wanted to be competitive on a home, not only were you offering a significant amount of money and maybe cash into the deal, non-refundable deposits, you were also foregoing inspections because so many other people were. So they weren't going to even look at your offer unless you were able to get rid of that contingency. Well, they're back, which is a great thing for buyers, and you're actually able to negotiate repairs and credits with sellers right now. And the reason that this is happening is that there is less competition in the market right now. There are just fewer buyers out there fighting for these homes. Even though active listings are down, we're still seeing just less offers, less competition on homes, which means if you're a buyer, you're likely not going up against that many people. Sometimes you're the only offer, which is the reason that you can have these inspections and these contingencies added to protect you in the sale. And I know as a seller, this might not seem all that appealing to have to offer, credits or repairs during a deal, but you have to think of it this way. There are less lawsuits that happen during these types of periods of time than during times like the pandemic, where people were buying both sight unseen and without inspections. What happens is they move into the house, they find an issue that they think the seller should have disclosed, and you have a lawsuit that's created out of it. So when you have inspections done, there's just less of that happening in the market. Everyone knows, or at least knows, what's on the inspection report and has a better idea of what they're walking into, less surprises, less legal issues. So I like this kind of market. I really do enjoy the negotiating of repairs and credits. I think that usually you can find a win-win situation in almost all of these cases, and I'm happy to see this come back to protect my buyers as well as my sellers. And again, this is just a quick update of the Maryland market in the DC metro region. So if you want more information on this, every single city and every town is just slightly different. There are little nuances to each, and that's what I specialize in. I make sure that I stay on the leading edge of that information. So if you're considering moving to Maryland, please reach out to me. In the description and in the comments, you can just click on that link to schedule a one-on-one consultation with me, and I'll get you set up with a plan moving forward so that your move goes as smoothly as possible. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe so that you stay up to date on all of my videos about moving to Maryland.